Thanks, Claire, from one Yale graduate to another, which is why we get that. It's such a pleasure to be with everyone here today. It is an exciting time. We live in this time of tremendously fierce competition for time, for attention, for entertainment spend. And in this competitive modern environment, consumer choice and consumer control are the price of entry. And consumer control means streaming. Streaming is what consumers want. It's how our industry stays relevant and growing in the face of so many new forms of media as competition. And like cable, like pay TV, home video sales, and rental before it, streaming creates new opportunities. There's opportunities for entertainment companies to reach bigger audiences, for creators, more creators to have their voices heard, and for people to discover more amazing new stories. And to see this, you only have to look at the UK. Our team, as one part of this ecosystem, has been on an incredible roll over the last couple of years. In 2023, from titles like Beckham and Heartstopper and Top Boy and The Crown, to this year with Fool Me Once, One Day, The Gentleman, Scoop, Baby Reindeer, and we're only halfway through this year. And what I love about these series and films here is that they are so tremendously diverse, and it is an amazing testament to the strength of British talent and storytelling to see all these incredible titles. But it's taken us, as Netflix, a lot of time to get here, and there have been some big transitions along the way. We've had transitions from DVD to streaming, from US to global, from second-run titles to originals. These were all big bets and more than these, which are hard for us to accomplish. They took significant time, they took effort, they took investment. And I've been here for all of these transitions, so I can tell you that we were far from brilliant when we started these initiatives. But we knew we just had to stick to it. We had to learn every day, we had to improve, we're still improving on most of these, by the way, in order to succeed long term. And that persistence has paid off. Since our global launch in 2016, we've continued to invest heavily in our slate, taking our content spending up roughly 2.5 times from about $7 billion in 2016 to roughly $17 billion this year, while also increasing our operating margins up more than 6 times from 4% to 25% over the same period, and growing our free cash flow from negative $2 billion in 2016 to roughly $6 billion US dollars this year alone. So a lot of progress, and what were the big lessons that we've learned through that whole process over the last 10 years, and what does the future hold? Well, the first key learning, the most important, which I think is generally well accepted across the industry right now, is that success in streaming really is about engagement. It is the best proxy for consumer happiness. As a subscription business, when people watch more, they're more likely to stick around, that's retention. They're more likely to recommend Netflix to their friends, that's acquisition. And they place a higher value on the service. And you can see the effect of all of those things because today we've got more than 270 million households across 190 countries using Netflix. And if you use roughly 2 people per household, which is a conservative number based on what we see, that means that well over 500 million people are turning to us for entertainment. And that gets to the second big lesson that we've learned. It's a little bit more debated, I think, still, but we really believe that you need a huge breadth of great programming to satisfy those many users. And people ask me, they really come and say, do you really need all those shows and movies? And I would say all of the evidence that we have is very clear and pointing to the answer is yes. To satisfy that audience of over 500 million people, they have very diverse and wide tastes, and we need lots of great stories that appeal to those different tastes. And this feels unusual or maybe unprecedented because no entertainment company has ever programmed with this ambition before for so many people. And it's why we continue to invest in our slate, continue to grow, even as competitors are pulling back. When we talk about a breadth of great content, by great, I mean films and TV shows that our members love. It's an audience-centric approach to quality. Because audiences today, they care as much, if not more, about authenticity and originality as critical acclaim. The other thing that I hear is it must be impossible to make so many movies, TV shows, or games and make them great at that volume. And I would certainly say that if one person were making all the decisions, that would clearly be true. But we are not relying on a single tastemaker. Our process happens with small, tightly knit, creative groups of executives that have long track records. They have huge passion for what they do, people like Anne Mensa here in the UK. And it's their job to understand these audiences, to understand those diverse tastes, and to program for them. Data can help in this regard, but this programming is more art than science. And as an example, no algorithm could have told you or told us that a series set in Wales from a first-time showrunner featuring a therapist's son giving sex education lessons to his schoolmates would be a hit. And as another point to demonstrate this, if it was just as simple as lots of data and great algorithms, we would have no flops. But we do, because making a TV series and making a film is a quintessentially human endeavor. Hundreds of things have to go right to get to a hit. And so it has all the success and failure that entails. All Quiet on the Western Front, Top Boy, Sex Education, they're all beloved by audiences because a creative exec saw something that was bold and distinct. And a title like Sex Education also shows the importance of investing in the next generation of storytellers. Through our $100 million Creative Equity Fund, we partner with over 80 organizations in 35 countries, including Cinéfabrique in France and the Accademia del Cinema in Italy and the National Youth Theatre here in the UK, all to help support and develop the next generation of storytellers. Now, many of you have worked in linear TV or theatrical. The big challenge there is getting people to tune in at a certain time or show up in the theater at a certain time. With streaming, we've got a different challenge. Our members can watch whatever they want. They have so many choices available to them, and they have so many distractions available to them, really, as well. They're all just a tap or the press of a button away. So our challenge is getting people to watch something that engages them, to press play and to stay. It has to be something that will delight them. Otherwise, they're just going to switch it off and go to something else. It's also why we can't manufacture a hit just by putting a certain movie or TV show in front of everybody on Netflix. Which gets me to our third lesson, which is about discovery. With so many films and series, we need to make it easy for people to discover exactly the right title for them. Something that they cannot wait to finish and cannot wait to share. It's why all of our product, all of our marketing are designed to do one thing, to help fans discover that title, which will be their next obsession. Our biggest, most effective promotional tool is Netflix itself. It's become the go-to place for so many people looking for entertainment. And it's why, for example, our trailers generate over 6 billion impressions every month on Netflix. And that's more than 40 times what they get on YouTube. And then we leverage features like Remind Me, which notify members as soon as the title premieres, so we can turn all that interest into action seamlessly. And then, of course, we have our recommendations. We're using a deep understanding of the titles, their subject matter, their cast, the tone. Is it funny? Is it violent? To match the best film and TV series to fans who will love them. Now, sometimes these connections are obvious. It's connections like, oh, you watch The Crown, you'll love The Empress, Die Kaiserin. But sometimes these connections are not always obvious. For example, I loved The Crown, but I also loved Pepsi, Where's My Jet? And shockingly, you might think, it turns out I'm not the only one to enjoy this particular pairing. Viewers of The Crown were 2.3 times more likely to watch Pepsi, Where's My Jet than general audiences. Figure that one out. We also recommend titles to totally new audiences. These are audiences who may never watched a show or movie with that kind of storyline or that tone before, or in that language or from that country before. But we want to make sure that they don't miss something that we think will be great for them. Because with entertainment, you just never know where that next gem is hiding. In addition to Netflix, we also use marketing to build excitement and fuel fandom. We all know that so much conversation now happens on social media, And now with over 1 billion followers, Netflix has one of the largest, most passionate fan bases on social media of any brand in the world. In 2023 alone, our social channels generated over 100 billion organic impressions. It's taken us 25 years to build this hard-to-replicate combination: a broad slate, huge reach around the world, superior recommendations, intense fandom. And it's that virtuous circle that drives our engagement, enabling Netflix to push stories into culture in ways that few can match today. Now, the press has called this virality the Netflix effect, and it shapes so much. It shapes what people search for. It shapes the music they listen to, even when that music is decades old, or even older, bringing a renaissance to string quartets. It shapes the books that they read. It shapes where they travel, the countries that they visit. It shapes the clothes that they wear, including the Halloween costumes that they buy. And it shapes what they talk about. Take this video of an Australian fan ugly crying after she finished One Day. It generated 48 million views and then spawned this ugly crying theme all over TikTok. I'm not sure that that's a good thing for us to take credit for, but it was exciting. Now, this Netflix effect is important not only just for members and fans, but it's important for creators too, because obviously it enables us to generate bigger audiences for their titles than any of our competitors across every genre. Many of you might have heard of the hit kids TV show CoComelon. It's on YouTube, but it gets more viewing on Netflix than on YouTube, a free service. And since we're currently winning less than 10% of total TV time in every country that we operate, we see tremendous potential to grow engagement by improving our core service. Just doing what we do a little bit better every month, a little bit better every year, make great TV shows, make great films, better recommendations, and fuel bigger fandoms. Which gets us to the last lesson. We've talked a lot about focus as a company. It's incredibly important. We still try and be very, very focused. But in 2022, we learned the hard way that we also need to adapt, and we need to add new aspects to our offering to continue to grow and deliver more value to members. That gets us to adaptability. The first part of adaptability means broadening our entertainment by offering games and sports and live. Our recent Tom Brady roast showed that a big, live, eventized moment, it can drive huge viewing and it can drive even huger conversation. That adds real value for our members. And come the new year, we're going to have live wrestling from WWE 52 weeks a year. So it'll be exciting to see how that goes. Adaptability also means deepening our connections with fans with real-world experiences like Bridgerton Ball. This is a live event where people go full Regency, they fully buy in, they go crazy. And then in 2025, we're going to launch the first Netflix house. This is our take on a flagship store. You might call it a mini amusement park, where fans can get closer to the stories and the stars that they love with food, with retail, and experiences that change and rotate throughout the year. And lastly, adaptability is about diversifying our revenue through ads, which, as many folks here in this room know, are a great complement to our subscription business. Most importantly, ads enable us to offer lower starting prices. That's £4.99 a month here in the UK, 2 streams, HD video, downloads, and that just means that more people can enjoy all of those films, series, games, and events. And as I said earlier, not only does engagement drive acquisition, retention, and willingness to pay, all the things that are important on subscription, but engagement is also what advertisers want most of all. So all these changes, all these new things, these are big bets for Netflix. We've got years of work ahead of us to meet our aspirations in the area. And quite frankly, those aspirations will continue to broaden almost certainly as we build and learn more. But if we can execute well on them, if we continue to improve our core member experience, we feel we have so much more room to grow. Taken together, pay TV, film, games, branded advertising, inside the countries that we operate are a $600 billion+ revenue opportunity. And today, Netflix accounts for less than 10% of total TV time in all the countries that we operate in, and less than 6% of this revenue. But it all starts with the consumer, because each of our members do not care about total TV time, they don't care about revenue, they don't care about profit. They care about one thing. When they turn on Netflix, when they click that button, will they find something great to watch? And if they do, they will come back night after night. They will be thrilled, and we will have a wildly successful business. And it's really that simple, and it's really that hard. So thank you for having me here with me today, and please join me in welcoming to the stage our next speaker, Jan Koppen.